And here's the great thing about being 63 years old. I can remember games just like this when Walt Frazier was running the team back in the late 60s and the early 70s. Now, there was no three-point line, obviously, so he would have to manufacture a steal, get into the lane like Jalen Brunson does, jump up, fake he was jumping, have the defender jump, and he would jump into him, and he would throw it into the basket, and somehow he'd come out with a three-point play, then steal the ball next, hit another one, and then get fouled, and then hit 2 foul shots, and everybody would go home. So I immediately thought back to those great Red Holtzman teams who would do what the Knicks did last night. And, this is why, and, it doesn't happen very often. But when it does happen, it is incredible. It is amazing. And watching, like, Hartenstein basically come down with a rebound, throw it to
Anunoby.
Then Anunoby throw it to DiVincenzo,
who just bricked the 3 5 seconds earlier.
But that's championship DNA.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, like, they didn't play great last night. Obviously, did not get off to a great start. And Jalen, I thought, started as the game got on, got more into it, and was better and better and better. He only plays 8 guys. By the way, the Sixers are only playing 8 guys. These guys are playing balls to the wall. This is like NBA basketball at its finest, with the intensity, with the defense, with the guys diving all over the place. And I would just say this, as a Knicks fan and as somebody who has bitched about the referees for I don't know how many years I've been on this radio show. When it goes against a New York team, or there's a blown call in the Super Bowl, or whatever it may be, if I'm the 76ers, I mean, I do have a claim. I mean, like, the Knicks got almost every call last night, which is great. I'm happy about that, and they made the most of it. Even when they're not at their best, they're able to win these games, which tells you more about the team and who they are and their character and how they go about their business. And if you watch Josh Hart during the whole game,
didn't come off the floor.
I don't know where he finds the energy in the fourth quarter. I mean, he is crashing the boards. His head is above the rim. He's tipping balls. He's diving on the floor. I mean, again, the 3 Villanova guys, I mean, that says a lot about Jay Wright, says a lot about their championship teams. I mean, and they come through big. And, I think I was reading something yesterday that the Knicks don't have a first-round draft choice, on the floor.
Well, I don't think that's totally true, because I think DiVincenzo was
that's right,
drafted number 16 overall, and that is the highest out of everybody that they have, which is incredible and tells you a lot about these guys' personalities. But this is the way that this series is over. Joel Embiid is right. Like, the series is over. It's just that the Knicks are going to win it, because the way that the 76ers reacted after this game, after blowing it, just shows me that they are losers. They are absolute loser mentality. Nick Nurse saying, I was trying to call a timeout, but I guess, they're not paying attention to me. I went back and watched the tape. No, it's that you were not doing it properly. First of all, your hands were over your head, and then when you were trying to call a timeout, Maxey didn't even have the ball, so that was nonsense. Embiid guaranteeing that they're going to come back and win the series, and then complaining about the no fouls. I mean, they blew that game. I mean, they were up and in control of that game for a majority of the first half. It felt like they were up 9 for the entire first half. The Knicks cut it down, and then they stormed back after the Knicks are up 8 in the fourth quarter, and had right at their fingertips after that Maxey 3 that was crazy. It was a Steph Curry-like 3. And I thought the game was over at that point, and they choked. And they choked. That's the bottom line, and the Knicks took it from them. They opened the door with a little choking, and the Knicks came right through and won the game. I don't want to hear about the no timeouts, the fouls, none of that. The Knicks are a better team. They're more resilient. They're not excuse-making, which is everything that the Sixers were last night. And, Jalen Brunson has not been good. He has not been himself. But when you need a 3, what does he do?
He comes up with an unbelievable 3 and a pretty lucky bounce. But it's not lucky because he's done it before and he'll do it again. And he's just a tremendous leader of the team. I kind of feel like the heart and soul of the team literally is Josh Hart now with the way that he's playing. But I know that Jalen you could see it in his face that he's frustrated. It's almost like every series he's got the ball in his hands. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of heavy lifting. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
And he's up to it. And he's been up to it. But, you can't shoot 8 for 29.
No, and they're not going to be able to advance further in the playoffs if he continues to shoot like that. But this is what is so encouraging about this team is they've been able to win these 2 games with Jalen Brunson not nearly being at his best. And the evolution of the team during the game and how everybody contributes when Jalen isn't his best is what makes me think that anything is possible for them. And he'll get better. He's not going to have an entire postseason shooting that poorly. But think about the contributions. My goodness, Isaiah Hartenstein, he gets the ball, that little tiny floater he's been doing the entire season. He never misses that.
Yeah.
He never misses that. And then Bogdanovich comes into the game, bang, bang, 2 threes.
And finally, that's exactly the guy you're trading
Just
for.
all over the place.
Yes.
Deuce McBride, which, by the way, this play will go unnoticed after the way that the game ended with the 2 threes and DiVincenzo. But I thought that the I guess, personification or the microcosm or whatever you want to say of this particular series and these 2 teams was Deuce McBride ripping the ball away from Maxey, taking it right from him and going up and scoring right in his face. I mean, the fact that Maxey's holding on to the ball and Deuce just like a bully in the schoolyard, grabs the ball and then lays it up. I mean, that was embarrassing for the Sixers. Everything was embarrassing for the Sixers. And for the Knicks fans that witnessed that last night, we've been at big games at the Garden for both teams, but Knicks games when you have magical things like this, I mean, I just you'll never forget it. I mean, those 2 3-pointers, it was shocking. I'm still completely shocked by that result and the Islanders result.
I just go back to when I was a kid watching Clyde Frazier and that team. And I remember my dad said, don't turn the TV off. Don't ever turn the TV off when they're on, because you never know what they were able to do, like what the Knicks did last night.
Yeah.
Just reminded me of and I don't remember any specific games. I just remember that they were never out of a game. That's what I remember. And that's kind of how I feel about this team. This team's never really out of a game. Listen, they could have a blowout game in Philadelphia. Who knows? I mean, all of that stuff can switch on a heartbeat, like you saw it last night in the hockey game. You get up 3-0, you're hanging on. They're playing it all in your zone the whole freaking second and third period, and just eventually it just comes crumbling down and collapses. Now, I think the Knicks may have one of these games in Philadelphia. I don't care. Madison Square Garden is alive, man.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a home court advantage. I don't care what anybody says. Most NBA teams will tell you they don't really worry about playing on the road, or maybe the MSG brings out the best in them. But finally, we have turned a corner, and the Knicks have a home court advantage that is significant, and you could feel it through the TV.
Yeah, and I know that Embiid, you could clearly tell that he was struggling. He was limping. There was that period when he was on the bench and he was getting the treatment from the trainer. And, Maxey came into the game as questionable with an illness. But ultimately, if you look at the stats at the end of the game and watch these guys, those guys were great. I mean, the 2 stars for the 76ers showed up last night and got their numbers and controlled the game for a majority of the game, and the Knicks still won with Jalen Brunson having the shooting night he had.
I thought Tobias Harris was going to come alive.
Yeah, I mean...
that's the guy that probably needs to come alive for them, and he knocked down a couple yesterday, and I think Mike Breen even said it, all of a sudden, if he gets going, or Clyde said it, one of the two, if he gets going, it's gonna be a problem for the Knicks. But I don't know. There's something resilient about the team, which is a reflection maybe of their coach and just maybe who they are as people and players.
Yeah.
From their days at Villanova, especially the Villanova 3. But Precious Achiuwa did not play again last night. Anunoby played a lot. I mean, Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein are trying to, or Stein, whatever the hell it is.
Stein.
They're trying their damnedest to slow down Embiid. He's almost impossible to slow down. I don't know if you remember this play, too. It was late in the game. Embiid's got the ball, and he's going down the lane for a layup. And I think Josh Hart is there, and he's planted, and he's outside the half circle. and Embiid comes down with like an elbow.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
Like
He's
right to Hart's chest.
I know.
And Hart is called for the penalty.
Yeah,
or the
well,
foul.
yeah, I know. I mean, in that there was something earlier too when they went for the review in the first half where Josh Hart got basically ran into Joel Embiid, and at that point I checked out the national broadcast and Stan Van Gundy was talking about there's nothing to see here. I don't know why they're reviewing this. And yeah, it was an unfortunate circumstance that they collided in that way, but still, Embiid is just he's always got something flying. There's always arms going, which is to credit to him. I mean, he's so big and he gets away with a lot of that stuff. But I mean, yes, I do remember that play as well, and he's going to get a lot of those calls, which is funny because Joel Embiid is probably, you think about all the guys in the NBA who the referees swing their way. I mean, Joel Embiid is probably in the top 3 or 4 on that list, but then the second that things don't go the Sixers' way, they're talking about screaming and yelling about how they're swallowing the whistles. I mean, you know how hard it was to choke away that game in that situation for the Sixers? And they're going to sit there and blame the officials and not themselves? That's how I knew the series was over. Right then, when they didn't take any response, well, mainly, Embiid, Maxey, Nick Nurse especially, who's a championship coach, by the way, just shocked that he handled it the way that he did with the sour grapes.
Well, I think he is just doing his team a favor. He's trying to, take some of the pressure off of them. I don't know. It's all mind games. It's all psychology. I
just think he was a complaining baby. I honestly think that it was an emotional.
But I'm just telling you why he's doing it.
Yeah, no, I think, I disagree. I think that this was not a mind game thing. I think it was fresh off of the floor, and he was embarrassed that his team choked it away, and he was making excuses. And that's what I think happened. I don't think he had the wherewithal in that situation to be like, all right, I'm going to take this tact and sound like a baby up here behind the microphone to inspire my team. I just think that it was a sour grape situation.
Vegan hipster.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is vegan, but he's basically those other things.